we're playing two really teams that have given us problems. I mean, Mississippi at home is anybody's ball game with 6 minutes to go in the game, and obviously LSU had us down double digits most of the game, almost got it to 20. So, there'll be two tough games for us.
Our first question is from Richard Croom of the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Coach, you've played at Vanderbilt. What are the problems that presents, where you have to be at the end of the court there, and do you like that at all? Because I know you're a pretty animated coach.
Well, I've not been asked many questions about that setup, but I will tell you that we now have that setup. Maybe at Minnesota, you have that same setup when you go to Final Fours and they're in big arenas where the bench is below the court and the coach gets a stool so there's no obstruction. And I think they could easily do that at Vanderbilt if they chose to where your bench is below the court and you're coaching. You can choose to be up there or not be up there. And now you're in a normal setting, and I think they can do that if they choose to. I think it would be a great solution. I've heard about the Texas A&M game, and it's, everybody's fighting for their lives, and you want no disadvantage. You want, the ability to do and have your team be able to do what you're asking them to do.
Do you feel like it takes the coach out of the game a little bit?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I know Kevin can whistle louder than anybody else, so he can get his kids' attention, and most of us can't. But I don't think, again, all I would tell you is it's the only arena in the country like that, and an easy solution is we're going to make it like it's played on a raised court, like it is at Minnesota or any Final Four court. They're below they're below there, and that's it. And the coach gets a stool if he chooses it.
Thank you.
Next question is from Ron Aiken of Gamecock Central.
Hi, Coach. I just had a quick question. You know a lot about talented freshmen, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on Sindarius Thornware for South Carolina, if you've had a chance to see him yet.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have not, because we don't play them for a little while. And I've, Frank and I've talked a little bit. I think he's doing a great job. And I told him the stuff that I've seen where I'm watching the other team play South Carolina, they play extremely hard. And they fight, and they're executing, but I haven't watched specific players because I haven't scouted them yet.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question is from Hugh Kellenberger of the Jackson Clarion Ledger.
Hey, John, you mentioned last year's game with Ole Miss in Oxford. How much has Ole Miss changed this year, not having Holloway and Buckner and having those younger guys at forward for them?
Well, those younger guys are pretty good players now, too. And they're different. They're more athletic as far as they may be, more slender. But those two, anyone would be more slender compared to those two. Mm-hmm. But I think they're athletic. I think they're long. They give them a little different dimension. Those other two were veteran, big-bodied guys, hard to go against. But I'm liking Mississippi's team.
What did you guys do to have success with them in Rupp?
Well, you could say that, but I'm telling you, with 6 minutes to go, it was anybody's ball game. And then we got a couple breakouts and made a shot, and all of a sudden it was 12. And then we got going a little bit. But that was late in the game. And, you're at the mercy of them making jumpers. And again, I think they've got their point guard is really, I think he makes them go. They've got other players on that team that can score baskets, and Henderson at any time can make 5 straight shots. Can you keep your head about you if he does? And he seems to do it at home more than he does on the road.
Thanks.
Next up is Blair Kerkhoff of the Kansas City Star.
Hey, John, with Saturday's outcome, it's going to be difficult to, for a conference championship for you guys. And I'm wondering if that changes the psychology of the rest of the regular season.
Well, I've never been big on conference championships or conference tournaments. Every game we play is to prepare us for March, and that's how we approach it. And I think the history of my teams have done well in conference play and conference tournaments because they're not the goal. The goal is to be at our best in March. And so the last game we played, I'll be honest with you, 30 minutes, that's as good as we played all year. What happened down the stretch was that mental discipline that I talked about before the game. But it showed me that we could beat anybody in the country. We got to shore up how we finish games off. It showed me our goals do not need to change at all. And I've told the team this. It's about chemistry, energy, and a will to win for your team. There were 3 rebounds. You would have figured our best rebounder would have got balls, and he was right there with another guy, and they got all those balls. Smith got one. Prather got one down the middle. They got another one. They tipped one back for a 3. You know, there were all that will to go get that ball that they had more than we had. But, again, our goals haven't changed. I'm happy with my team. What that game showed me, we're as good as anybody in the country. We can play with anybody. Now let's shore this up. Let's get this chemistry together and this energy together. Let's create a little more will to win down the stretch. Execute. They got to the line by driving it. We took bailout 3s. Can't do that. Can't do that late in the game. But, again, we're still learning.
Thanks, John.
Next up is Matthew Harris of the Baton Rouge Advocate.
Morning, John. How are you?
Good.
I was going to ask kind of a question about Craig Sword. He seemed to have a good game against you the first time you guys faced Mississippi State. You seemed to do a better job. The second time, at least, keeping him off the line and taking that sort of away from him. What was the key in terms of defensively slowing him to a degree from one game to the next?
Well, you got to square him off a little bit. You can't give him those angles, and when he gets those angles, he's going to get fouled. You know, he's a terrific player. I mean, and again, you know, our length, we don't have to get on angles. We don't have to get on the side of a guy. Stay in front and occupy his eyes a little bit.